Hello and thank you for watching. I'm Ashley Van Dyke with Advantage Software, and on today's video, Reverting to a User.ini backup, I'm going to show you how you can quickly and easily revert to an old copy of your user settings using the built-in automated backup system along with the revert function in the file manager. Times when you might need to do this include if something has happened to your settings. Parts of your settings are empty, and therefore you're not getting the performance that you expect. Symptoms of this may be that your hyperkey list is empty. Tables within the Programming tab may have missing entries or be completely blank. Or your settings just appear to be very different than they were very recently. Whenever working with the revert function in the file manager, you always want to back up whatever you're reverting first. In this case, I'll show you how to make a quick backup of your current settings before you make any changes. I'm in Eclipse and in a job. And right off the bat, I can tell that there are some problems with my user settings. At the top, I don't see any toolbars, and when I try to use my hyperkeys, it's not working. At the bottom right, you see that my hyperkey indicator is enabled. However, if I try to use J, K, L, and I to move, instead those letters are typed into my document. So I know that there's something amiss. I'm going to close out of this file, and I'm going to go to my user settings. I'll go to the Edit tab, and if I check Keyboard, my hyperkey list is blank. I do have standard keystrokes, but for some reason my hyperkeys are missing. If I go to the Programming tab, I see that in my meta dictionary I also have no entries, and my prefix and suffix table definitions are also missing. Other entries are still here, but it's definitely suspicious that some of my important translation entries are missing. This indicates that there's a problem with my settings, and I did notice the toolbar problem a few days ago when I checked Eclipse for something quickly. Since this problem has been going on for a couple days, I know that I can't just go to User Settings, Advanced, and hit Revert Settings to get my settings back the way that they were. What I can do instead is use one of the automatic backups that Eclipse makes of my user settings. Before I do that though, I'm going to export my current settings just in case. I'll make sure all of the boxes on the top are checked. I'll press OK. And I'm going to call this Before Fix April 16, 2022, making it clear that these are the settings before I tried to fix them. That way I know that these settings represent the settings as they were before any fixes were applied and what date that happened. And I'm going to save this right in the Eclipse folder for future reference. And once I'm sure I don't need this backup anymore, I can simply delete it. I'll press OK to create the file, and now I know that my current settings are backed up just in case whatever I revert to isn't what I want. Before reverting your settings, you want to make sure that you know which user you're in. To check that, you can see where it says User File. So my user file says Ashley, and so my user file is going to be called Ashley.ini. To begin the revert function, I'm going to go to the File Manager under Control F as in Frank, or Tools and then File Manager. Once in the File Manager, instead of staying in the Job tab and reverting one of my existing text files, I'm instead going to go to the Main tab, which is where my user.ini files are stored. Once in the Main tab, I'm going to find that same user file name that I saw before in my user settings. Mine was just Ashley, and if I hit the plus sign here, you see that I have an ini file. This is the file that I'm going to use the revert system on in order to access older copies of my user settings. And so in the top left of the file manager, I'll hit the revert button. And you see that I'm given a list of 10 different backup files. UB0 being the most recent, and UB9 being the oldest. Today is April 16th, and the oldest one was made on April 5th, and the newest one was made just today. The best way to determine which of these files to use is to know when the problems with your user settings began. I know that it started happening a few days ago, and I also know that some of my settings are completely blank. I see that several of these files are much smaller than others. And so likely, if I take any of these larger and older files, they should have my correct user settings within them. And again, since I already backed up what I have, there's no risk in using any of these files. So I'm going to select the most recent large backup file, which is UB4 in my case, and I'm going to press OK. And you see that immediately I can see that I have my toolbar back at the top of my screen. If I go to my user settings, to the Edit tab, and click on Keyboard, not only do I have options in standard keys, but I now have my hyper keys back as well. If I go to the Programming tab, my meta dictionary is now filled back in, and my prefix and suffix definitions have returned as well, ensuring that everything will translate correctly again. All of my settings problems have been resolved by this reversion, and so I know that I can now delete the backup that I made of my settings. So here you see that I have my before fix April 16th file, and I can simply check it off and delete it. Now I know that I don't need to keep a copy of those bad settings. And if I select my User.ini file again and hit revert, you see that I still have all 9 files to choose from. I could revert my settings again to one of the bad backup settings. And if I do that, my hyperkeys are gone again, my meta dictionary is gone again, and my prefixes and suffixes are gone again. However, since the reverted files are still all there, I can simply select my user again, hit revert once more, and select one of the large and recent backups to get my settings back the way they belong. And again, I can check Settings, Edit, Keyboard, Hyperkeys, Programming, Meta Dictionary, and Prefix and Suffix definitions, and everything has returned since I used one of the good backups. And so you can tell immediately at a glance, usually, if the reversion has been successful. And so again, all you have to do is go to Tools, File Manager, go to the Main tab, select your user, press Revert, and select the backup file that you would like to revert to. Don't forget that you can sort this window by the date the files were modified, and ensure that you get one from a date that you know everything was working correctly. And don't forget, as I said at the beginning, to make a backup of your current settings, just in case you aren't happy with what you revert to. As a reminder, if you're not sure about reverting to a backup or any other function in Eclipse, Advantage Software offers anytime support 24/7. Our friendly and helpful staff are available to help with any question, anytime, including weekends and holidays, at 772-288-3266. Email support is also available at support@eclipsecat.com. Thank you for watching this video. Please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so that you'll be notified when we publish new content every week. Thank you so much and have a great day.